It's time for another episode of Rotten Mornings.
The best way to start your mornings off rotten.
Good morning.
Good morning. Listen to that deep ass voice of yours.
Yes, it's my sexy voice.
Is that what it is? Ew.
Yeah, don't be charmed by it.
I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, I just popped awake for 10 seconds and now I gotta go to work, so that's awesome.
Sweet. Like you gotta go to work now, or you gotta go to work like in 10 seconds, or I'm confused.
Anyway, guys, welcome to Rotten Mornings.
Welcome to Rotten Mornings. I want to be sultry.
I'm sorry, buddy. Not everybody gets to be.
I'm James Earl Jones, and this is CNN. Say this is CNN.
This is CNN. That'll be $5. Thank you. Please pull forward. I'm Scott.
And I'm Matt.
Yeah, and we have other people here.
No, not today.
I always look around nervous.
You know, we should really plan to do some of these interviews we talked about. We're almost at least a 10th of the way through the season.
Yes, I agree. I completely concur. It's like, would you like to do an interview? Yes. When are you guys available to do the interview? Oh. When are you guys recording the podcast? Oh, we record it every morning.
Yeah, every morning, duh. How can we be any more clear about that?
We've been pretty clear.
Pretty clear.
Pretty clear about that. I don't even know where the hell I'm at right now. I got a message from you, and I looked around. And I was like, I don't even recognize this room.
I just like, hey Scott, want a podcast? And you wake up because too bad I kidnapped you. Ha ha.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. So for you guys who are listening and have no idea what we're talking about, we've had a lot of construction here at the studio, so everything looks different.
Yeah, yes. And Scott sleeps here sometimes.
Yeah, no, if there's no room in the car, I sleep in the studio. I think that's the story of it doesn't matter. Let's talk about what we saw yesterday.
All right. What did we see yesterday? Let's see.
Well, yesterday morning we started off with Rotten Mornings.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Was that any good?
I don't think so. What was the? We talked about the Boogaloo, or
Boogers.
Was that Boggarts yesterday?
That's it.
That might have been 3 days ago. I don't know at this point.
Who knows? Who knows? Grim said she's been dreading the podcast, and then at some point yesterday doing the podcast, it snapped and she was enjoying it.
She wasn't enjoying it?
No, she was enjoying it.
Oh, I don't know why she would dread it. She does great on it. After that, we had... What was yesterday? What day was yesterday? Was
Monday.
Today? Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. So the other thing we had yesterday was strips because we had to change the schedule up.
Yeah, we had to discard the schedule
completely.
Schedule's out.
But now I've got 3 different things to upload. So maybe today we'll have Ravage, Constance, and probably not Misty. We'll probably do Misty's on Thursday when I do the TikToks. So yeah.
No, I mean, it sounds great.
So what we had yesterday was my newest episode of Strips.
Yep. So if you guys haven't had a chance to go out and watch that, I encourage everyone to go and watch that episode.
So was it awesome?
It was.
Damn it.
Damn it. But don't worry, Matt. I'm sure it won't always be.
Did you see it?
What do we have coming up today?
Radio. All right. So after that, we have Darker Stories. I mean, no, that was yesterday. We had another episode of Darker Stories.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. Also, guys, fantastic.
What?
Also, that was awesome.
What was?
Darker Stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always good.
Okay, was there anything else from Monday?
Nope.
What the hell is today?
Today is Tuesday.
Tuesday morning.
Correct.
All right. I haven't had my coffee this morning, you see. Okay, and today we have a podcast.
Yep. Yeah, we do.
Yeah. How's it going?
Horribly. Honestly, I think I'm going to seek out another co-host real quick.
That's cool.
Yeah, you kind of suck.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for listening to 4 seasons of Rotten Mornings. This was, we're actually going to terminate the show, not just mid-season, but mid-show. We're going to, au revoir. We also have another episode of Strips today. Yep. And another episode of Darker Stories.
Yep. And we'll have Ravage's Power Hour.
Power Hour.
And I should have Constance's new story up. Okay. Yep, that's it. Darker Stories to finish off the day as usual.
Sounds like a really exciting day.
It does, and it's really exciting how exciting we're making it sound right now.
Yeah. Jesus, man.
Just as exciting as we made yesterday sound.
Yeah, I hope you guys were alive yesterday and enjoyed those things. and you are as well today.
Yep.
All right. Anything else before we jump into our supernatural section?
No, but do remember that late tonight around 2:00, Carrie will be going live with tarot readings.
Oh, that's right. Wait, no. Yeah, that's going to be basically tomorrow morning.
Yeah, well, it'll be 2:00. So if you consider that night, it's at night, and if you considered it morning, it's at morning.
Yeah. It's at 2 o'clock. That's what's obvious.
Yes.
That's the takeaway from here.
Correct.
All right. Yeah, definitely remember that. That is a lot of fun, and really the more people get to see that, the more people will have fun with that thing. So that's cool.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. Well, we're gonna go to commercial, and then when we come back, we will jump into our supernatural section.
All right.
All right.
And now for a word from our rotten Maynard Grim Lip.
Hello. Tune in to Rotten Reviews Friday at 7 to watch me read you some stories. It'll be Grim Storytime Season 2.
And we're back. We're back.
We're back. We are. If
We
we're,
are.
oh God, I hear the echo.
No, you don't.
Okay, good. I don't.
Yeah, you don't.
Radio. So
Right, yeah.
supernatural.
Yeah. Here we go, guys.
There we
It's
go.
about to get stupid.
Hey guys, keep your fingers crossed for another Jersey Devil episode.
Yeah. Anyway, we do like the Jersey Devil. Good point. All right, man. I'm gonna kind of this is a choose your own adventure here. Do you want to go sirens or do you want to do banshees?
I mean, those both are kind of intermingled, right? Let's go Banshees.
Okay. We don't know anything about it.
It's funny that you say Banshee because I remember the last podcast we were talking about how stories have evolved through mythos, but the Banshee has kind of stayed the same, right?
Pretty much and it's probably because of its simplicity.
I think my first introduction to the Banshee was in Darby McGillis and the Little People from Disney.
Wow. Okay.
And that was like terrifying. Like there were parts in that movie that was fucking terrifying.
Yeah. I pretty much with the Banshee and I almost wanted to throw like swamp hag, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of a witch thing.
Yeah, that's more witch, right? So the basic premise of the Banshee specifically is that like it's usually a woman who, when they appear and you hear their song, it heralds an incoming death.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is a little different from sirens, who were like lulling you to your death,
luring people to their death.
Yeah. I don't think that the Banshees ever. I think they were just like, hey, death is coming and inevitable. And there's something a little bit more terrifying than something that's trying to kill you, something that's saying that something's about to die, right?
Yeah, and it's not the Banshee itself, because the Banshee's just a herald of death. Like if you heard the Banshees cry, you would be soon to die.
Well, so all right, so this is weird, but like in the Ring, like, did she kill them or did they just die in 7 days?
Well, technically in the Ring, she killed them because she scared them to death.
Okay. Yeah.
And like Banshees might be scary, but Banshees have never been like, I'm the one that's going to kill you.
Yeah. I just if you guys have ever read the Christopher Moore books, fantastic series, but there's a Banshee in there in the second of the Secondhand Souls, and it will just appear and just scare the shit out of the guy. But I mean, the guy's the Grim Reaper, so I know someone's gonna die. The Grim Reaper, stop screaming at me. It's kind of what I do. And she's just like, why are you even here? It's such a great,
What are you doing?
Yeah, it's such a great like premise of stupid, like a Banshee appearing to a Grim Reaper. It's fantastic.
Apparently, they used to call them either Woman of the Fairy Mound or Fairy Woman.
That's weird, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I think they were like, there's all these mounds that are in Ireland.
Yeah, it says her name is connected to the mythological important two muli or mounds that dot the Irish countryside.
That's right. That's kind of where that name comes from, and I'm not exactly sure how, but I do know that's where their name kind of comes from.
Yeah,
and they're usually in a green color. Which is why, like in popular media, you usually see them in some variation of green. Not always, but often. And maybe that's just we associate like if anything at all is Irish, we make it green. It's kind of weird, right?
They say a lot of times the banshee would take the form of the youngest member of the family if they had passed away and become sort of like a herald to the family of their deaths, like when the next family member was going to die.
Oh, so like the youngest one, if the youngest one had passed away, they would then appear to the other ones and say, "Hey, it's time to come home."
Yes, exactly.
That is creepy as shit.
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of like the idea of like heaven in a way, but as if the angel was like saying, like, "Hey, don't." It in that particular case, it seems less about, "Hey, be frightened because death is coming," and more like, "Hear my song, you will be with me soon."
Yeah, and like again, though, it's just that whole like, there's an inevitability. You have appeared. When you appear, death comes, and then like you can't avoid that. With the other things, like they could kill you. This isn't about could kill you. This is about, hey, I'm letting you know that death is already in your predicted future.
Yeah. And they actually said that sometimes the banshee was associated with the fact if you had like a family member overseas, that you could hear the banshee's call, and it was like they had already died, and the banshee was like delivering the news to the family.
Yeah, so that part of the banshee came from like keening.
Yes, keening.
Yeah, that's like that's not a word that I use, but it's when people are crying, sad, crying over the death of someone.
Yeah, it basically says that keening translates as "who wails a lament."
Yeah. So that's that part where they would appear, and if they appeared, it's because they're letting you know someone has passed away. Now, let me ask you something.
Well, here's something else that's interesting me that it says here is that it says that it is often stated that the banshee laments only descendants of pure Milesian stock of Ireland, and Milesian are the final race to settle in Ireland.
Okay.
The Milesian and the Gaels who settled from Liberia.
Wonder what that is. Why?
I don't know. That's weird. It's almost like it's saying that the banshee can only exist for the purebred, as if it's a part of their family, and once the family has been like bred out of them, it no longer exists, almost like its existence relies on them living, so that's why it's screaming.
Oh, that's a really interesting take, Matt.
Yeah, like it's like, hey, if you die, that's one less chance I have for continuing to exist.
That is interesting,
right? And I didn't read that offline. It just that something.
No, it didn't sound like something anyone else had ever written. It sounds very like your theories, and I was thinking too. I was thinking the opposite. Like they appear, and they're like, hey, there's a curse that's been on us, and you guys are dying, and we're crying, but you don't realize we're crying because we're happy. Die, you
because you're like, I mean, it's two ways you can take it. It could be a lamenting, as in, I'm sad for you living, you're coming home, you're about to die, and I'm sad for your death, but also I'll be waiting for you. Or it could be like literally that they're like, fuck, man, after all this lineage dies out, it's kind of like that's the end of my existence. If I'm not able to follow the pure blood, which is kind of racist, that I won't exist anymore.
Well, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if that's racist or like, I I don't know. Like like pure blood, you have to obviously have to, you know, unless you're like royal family, you have to be
Yeah.
inside
Well,
of it.
it says on here that one account, however, also included the Geraldans. I'm fucking murdering these words, as they had apparently become more Irish than the Irish themselves. So it's almost as if it's saying like the Banshee was originally attached to a bloodline, but it became attached to actions. And that if they acted super duper Irish, then it was like the Banshee could still exist. It's kind of like Freddy Krueger, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, yeah, that's so weird, dude.
Like, is Freddy Krueger a Banshee?
Did but Freddy Krueger killed.
No, he didn't. They died in their sleep. Freddy Krueger himself never killed them. I mean, it could be, it was always written off as the movies as like something happened to them while they were asleep. Like maybe they were sleepwalking, jumped off a building, or maybe they, did something to themselves while they were asleep. But it was, the cops weren't like, oh, Freddy Krueger's killing people. Like that doesn't happen. That's not a thing.
Because Freddy Krueger's dead. That's impossible.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like the point is like, what if they had like sleep apnea or had a seizure or choked in the night or anything like that, and that's how they would write it off. And what if Freddie was just there to be like, hey, there's nothing you can do, you're going to die.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know that there's like, hey, don't sleep on the wrong side of bed tonight, or you'll wake up, and your blood will be all the way up to the wall, and then
Yeah.
like,
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's always that idea in the Freddy movies of like the suspension of disbelief, because I don't know, it always is like, if the scientists can write it off, then it can be written off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that there's a little bit of that, like, they're sweeping it under the rug, but like, why in the first movie would they have been sweeping under the rug that she was drug up the wall and there was blood up the wall? But they did blame it on the other guy for murdering her, which could have been him that murdered her, right?
And absolutely no way.
Why do you say that?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, but like, that guy would have had to like rig up a system in order for the splatter.
Okay, yes and no, because what you saw was them in their dreams, right? So the blood going up the wall and her being drug up the wall, you saw that in the dream. But if somebody just saw that, they could write it off as blood splatter from him swinging his arm and stabbing her, and that blood's like sloshing all over the walls and shit.
And to be fair, I'm only seeing it now in my memory of their dream.
Oh my God. Stop being fastidious. We're talking about Freddy here.
How dare you?
How dare you, sir? Because, I mean, think about it, dude. He got put in prison for her murder and then he hung himself. Now, you see through the girl's eyes, it's like Freddy hanging him, but nobody else saw that. So what if he just hung herself and you're actually seeing the point of view of her fantasy world being portrayed in front of her, so she doesn't like see any death or see any evil people, just this one evil, so she can say, oh, it wasn't anybody else's fault.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. That's a very interesting take on that.
Yeah, there's my fucking fallacy of Freddy.
Yeah, your fallacy of Freddy. So all right, let's go back to the other part though. So the Banshees like followed this one family. Is there one family, or I guess with the Banshee there was a connection, and it was the family, and with Freddy there was the connection, and it was like, these are the children associated with my death.
And what does that mean? That's a family.
Yeah,
that's a lineage of people, no different than the story of the Banshee in a way.
Yeah.
Because what they say about the Banshees is not like a particular family. It's the people that they were named the Millicent, but they were actually like settlers from Liberia or Hispania. And once they ended up there, they were called the Milcians or whatever. Because it's more of a stock than it is a family.
Uh-huh.
And the Geraldians, kind of the same way, that they actually came from aristocratic dynasty in Normandy. No, that's wrong. I'm reading as I'm telling you this. It's too much to read. Never mind. Strike
No,
that.
dude,
Ignore that information.
So, you know, when we started discussing the Banshees, and of course, you know, you and I have discussed Banshees for years at this point.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, indeed.
we kind of made the comment, and we're both under the impression that they were similar to sirens.
Yeah, in a way that they bring death, not just that they're just, hey, look out.
Yeah, but
Hey,
so
there's a bear trap.
yeah, I'm really not happy with what they're doing in the studio right now. That was a very bad design choice. I'll just sit over here. Jesus, bear trap.
That's what we do. We want to make it fun. These get boring if you haven't noticed from, well, this podcast.
I've enjoyed this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. The first part started out kind of slow.
The first part was I hadn't had my coffee, and the second part, I haven't had my research. So, but so we were talking about how the similar to the siren and the banshee are, but like the banshee's not melodic.
Yeah, not at all. It's just a screaming, wailing moan.
It's that lament of death, and you know, people lament death differently. They weep, they cry. Some people cry out like, "How has the world abandoned me?" And that is what the banshee's doing.
Yeah.
So what do you think this is a demon or
Well, they set it off as if it's like the idea of a guardian angel.
okay? So you think
Because
this is more
if
angel?
you think about it, right, and you believe in a particular brand of religion, which is that there is a heaven where all your loved one waits and there's peace and all that stuff, then technically speaking, if they're taking you there, that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that representation of being somebody, like showing that they still have that peace, and the only peace they don't have is the concern for the living. Like, they're not crying for themselves, they're not wailing for themselves, they're wailing for their living counterparts. So maybe the banshee is actually an angel.
Okay, you can definitely see it that way. Let me put this out there though. What if like banshees just decided to appear and start crying to you? They had not any knowledge of the person that was just going to die. They just know that if they cry in front of you, there's a death in your family.
But okay, but are you saying that they're going to cry at people so there is a death, or are you
Yes.
saying that they're just crying? Okay, so they specifically sought out people, like vengeful.
I'm just putting that out there as a possibility.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't discredit that, but that sounds like a different creature based on just the straight mythos of banshees. Which, let me just go ahead and say this too: there's not a lot of deep mythos. It's very surface level.
Yeah.
It's like this is what it is. It hasn't changed. It's been this, and that is what it is. And if you go off of that research, then that technically cannot work.
And that's fair. That's fair. When you know the banshee is a little bit more mythological than supernatural, and yes,
Yeah.
those are the same kind of terms. But for the sake of this podcast, we're kind of using those terms that way.
Well,
Whereas
I
like
would say mythological in most cases means that, like, it's mythos, like it's beyond X amount of years behind us, and it's just always been, as far as our human memory goes.
sure,
Because nobody can really chart the exact existence of where the banshee came from, but people wrote about it in stories later on.
oh, for sure, for sure. Um, Well, we have like in the world of the mythological, a cyclops is a guy with one eye.
Yeah. Well, that's with Cyclops though. Its name actually equals that, right? Like its name is Cyclops, which would be one. So at least it has like that pinning. A banshee just is just an open term. I'm surprised that there hasn't been a evolution of that, and it's just like, no, this is a banshee, and that's what it is.
I mean, yeah, I don't maybe because it was just associated with that one family, or whatever it is, or that one one people. I'm not sure, but it's interesting the comparison of what we kind of phrase the supernatural versus the mythological, because half man, half something else, right? Like half man, half bull. That's your minotaur. Okay, we know what that is. We know the one story of it. And then half man, half wolf. That's werewolf. Now we've gotten the supernatural, and we've got tons of things to say about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of so maybe this was kind of a weird one to throw on today.
That's okay.
We could redo it.
No. Listen, I'll say this for the difference between like just paranormal and mythology is myth is a symbolic narrative, usually of unknown origin and at least partially traditional, that's sustainably relates actual events, and that is especially associated with religious beliefs. It is distinguished from symbolic behavior, cult or ritual, and symbolic places or objects. That's what a myth is. Like it exists outside of the regular known religion, but it also ties into the regular known religion.
Sure. and by comparison
to paranormal,
yeah.
Well, I mean, paranormal is just anything that is like that doesn't normally happen just scientifically and is, produced beyond our understanding of it.
That's fair, but wouldn't you say that a lot of strictly paranormal things had some ties to a religious concept? Or do you think a religious concept later was tied to a lot of things that were considered paranormal?
Look at the definition, right, of paranormal. The definition of paranormal is basically denoting events or phenomenons such as telekinesis or clairvoyance that are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding. So technically, paranormal is a dwindling pocket of explanations that science haven't got to yet. And because religion shares that similarity, like science cannot prove that there is a God, then it also becomes the same thing. But religious people wouldn't call religion paranormal, and paranormal people wouldn't call paranormal religious. You know what I mean?
I do. And I think, though, that the undeniable similarity is that that all of those things are arguably faith-based.
Yes. But I mean, you break the word down. It's paranormal. I mean, it's beyond normal. That's just basically what the word.
Yeah.
But the difference is like what you say. If you have faith in it, it's not paranormal. It's actually fucking normal because you have faith in it and you believe it exists. Therefore, it does for you.
I mean, that's true of religion. That's true of vampires, right?
Exactly. But like people that believe in vampires would not refer to vampires as paranormal because by term, they're saying it's not real.
So you're
like,
okay.
if you knew,
I would say arguably that that it's not that they wouldn't say that because they could just be wrong.
True. Okay, that's fair. It would it would be wrong, is what I mean to say.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because if you didn't know what a cow was, and I told you what cow meat was, until you experience it, to you, it's outside of your normal understanding. But then once you have experienced it, it's no longer paranormal because it's just normal. You just weren't around it to experience it.
Sure.
So with religion, it's that same thing. Like, sure, religion starts off as a kind of a, what's this about? What's going on? But it evolves into, this is a sure thing, and this is what reality is. Therefore, that equates normal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think once you start believing in it, it should immediately not be paranormal anymore.
Sure. I think like so if you I don't know because there's still like the wavering belief. You know what I mean?
But
Like
if you have wavering belief, then you have no belief at all.
I don't know. I don't know that I feel the same way.
Well, that I completely understand that, but me personally, when it's like, if you have a religion that says you have to be a 100% part of this religion or you're not actually living it out, is pretty much cut and dry.
That's fair. Um, I just think that the way that we feel about things, for me personally, it's not as black and white.
And I agree with you. I agree with you that nothing is black and white. But I think a lot of the times religions like to sort of push things into a black and white category, therefore changing it into black and white. So that's why I don't really understand religion personally, is because I don't like just black and white.
Yeah, that I think that is part of, and that's kind of an inherent nature of like a rule based anything. If you have a rule based something, like if you do this, then this will happen.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, I do believe that that's what you're saying, but I don't know that I believe that that is true.
But then that's not black and white anymore, because it's either true or it's not true.
Right. But I'm saying like the religion is saying like it is true, but the follower is saying, I don't know if it's true.
But doesn't that make them not a follower anymore, because they're not following that religion? They're following their own interpretation of
it. Following becomes such a difficult thing to define for me, because I'm like, all right, you've got 5 people following this thing. You have 2 people who adamantly believe in it. You've got 2 of them who are kind of into it, and you got 1 person who just wants to be a part of the group who doesn't even care what's going on. So
Well,
do you have 5 followers, or do you have 5 people who are following this thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird kind of
let's break
concept.
it down into like an easier term and say you have a religion that your religious book literally tells you that pork is unclean and you should not eat it no matter what, because it is an unclean animal. Now, of course, that's based on the fact that it was hard to keep things refrigerated and that shit was killing people left and right back in the day. So they thought, hey, the easiest way to get people to not eat it is say, don't fucking eat it. It will kill you. So let's say you have a religion with 5 people. One of those people tell you, don't eat the pork. One of those people don't eat the pork at all. One of those people eat pork once a year. One of those people eat pork once a month. And one of those people eat pork once a week. Who's correct? The guy who runs the religion says, hey, this religion is based off this book of rules. And if you don't follow these rules, then you should just not be a part of this religion. Do your own thing. But this book of rules says don't eat pork.
Right.
So are you telling me that the guy that eats pork once a week is the same amount of religious as the guy that doesn't eat pork at all?
I'm not telling you that.
But with religion, you can't be the gray area. Like I said, religion forces you to say good or bad, right or wrong, yada, 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 yada.
I am saying, yes, I agree with you that religion that the point of rules is black or white, but that I don't know that people are inherently able to flip their mind into 100% belief or 0% belief. They just lack that capacity as people.
And I completely understand that. In no way am I questioning like someone's ability to have morality or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, if we're playing Connect 4 and I start throwing the dice, like, you're just going to be like, dude, dice isn't even a part of this game. You're not playing this game anymore.
Dude, I have like flipped through my script here several times. Dude,
You started this. You started it.
No, but I'm saying, like, what page are you on? Because
6. God damn it, 6.
all right,
It's right after I spilt the water and we were supposed to do the gaff and you completely missed it.
Yeah, that was all on page 5, dude. We were talking
Jesus.
page 4. You jumped over here to page 6. I'm holding page 5. Like, are we just throwing this out?
So in future podcasts, we will try to stay away from mythology because it seems to be tied into religion, and God knows we have talked 30 minutes about this now.
You're welcome.
And literally none of it was funny.
I hope you guys don't turn into the podcast hoping for them to be funny.
God, yeah, okay, that's touche.
We carefully select each podcast topic in order to give you a deep dive into the most scientifically researched topic of all time. How dare you think that's humorous?
Let me add this caveat, and I should add this caveat every time. I don't disagree with anything that anybody wants to believe in. I think that if you can and want to believe in whatever the hell you want to, please do, and do it any kind of way you want to. Like my concern is not with the ability to have faith. It's with the strangeness of certain parts of faith that just don't seem to equate. Do I think that it's bad to have a religion? Not at all. I think it's great to have something to lean against, to actually have to back you up in those times when you don't have somebody to back you up. So I would never say, don't do this.
Was that the end of your sentence?
Yes.
Yeah, and like that is an awesome thing to say. Like, hey, everybody needs their thing, and yeah, like whatever floats your boat. We're not here to judge people or anything.
Not at all. Not at all. We are just here to say theories and thought process and opinions about different stuff. What you need is all about you. We are not here to be self-help gurus or life coaches. We are here to be assholes.
Yeah, I think
sometimes we fail at that. So
we failed at being an asshole.
Oh yeah.
Damn it. I will train harder, master. I will be. I think that what it is for me is that if something is intended, like, hey, this is for the good of the people. You were talking earlier about like pork was written, or the thing about pork was written into this religion, and it is. It's specifically there to keep the whole people who are following the religion from dying.
Yeah.
And then not having anyone left, to continue it. But you take these really good things and these good intention things, and then people can often be the it can be the followers that can be the thing that is not as healthy for the religion.
Yeah.
Or however that can be said in a kind and gentle way.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. This has been Banshees, I think.
Has it been?
Yeah. And if you're hearing this podcast, well, guess what?
Guess what? We told you this was going to be a Jersey Devil episode, and we literally lied because this is the longest paranormal part we have ever recorded
in history of mankind ever. Yeah, we just wanted you to know that this episode itself is a banshee. Yeah, and you were probably hoping you died halfway through. Like, yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and kick the big one.
Did you just scream?
I thought that was you.
No. I just heard like a scream. Like while we were recording, I heard a scream.
Right.
I thought that was you screaming in the studio.
You just screamed, right?
No.
Matt, you screamed.
Scott,
right?
I didn't scream.
Okay.
Hey man, be careful this morning, dude.
Hey, you know what? Love you, man. Been really fun doing this podcast. Well, that part. I've appreciated all the.
Wait, is that a banshee? Potato.
Oh God.
It's a potato.
What size potato is that?
It's a large potato cut into skinny fries.
It's a number 2.
It's a number 2.
Guys, if you haven't gotten that, that means you haven't listened to nearly enough of our podcast. And arguably, any of our podcast is too much. So you just got to find the sweet spot. Why did y'all listen so long? We keep making it. You know what's fun? We continue to blame Facebook for technical issues. We continue to blame our audience for us having to make podcasts. We don't have an audience.
Yeah, like, who are you blaming? Oh, those daggum boggarts. Fuck.
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't talk about in our boggarts episode. They love our podcast.
I'll tell you what I like the most about the podcast. It's how awesome, how many inside jokes we create.
But you know, what's great about this season
is that nobody listens to it.
Yeah, there's no expectations. We could literally talk about whatever we wanted to. But the great thing about this season, as opposed to the first season, is that when we made inside jokes, it was about a lot of stuff that's historically rotten. And this season, we've talked a lot about stuff that if you've been paying attention to the podcast, you'll get those jokes.
Yep.
So we have inside jokes with our audience. The only thing we don't have
is an audience.
Is an audience. Well, guys, if you've been listening, you are our audience. You are our S's.
Yes, you're our S's, guys.
And if you don't get that inside joke, go back and listen to every podcast.
For the love of God, do not go back to the beginning of this podcast.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you can delete podcasts from the internet, but if you're
I
listening
promise
to this,
you go back and listen to freaking season 1, and it is a mess.
Yeah, and if you listen to season 4,
it's a mess.
Oh my God, though, you guys, season 2 was the best mess because it wasn't anything.
Yeah.
I think we had the casserole of nonsense episode.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we've got to get to work. We've got a lot of stuff to do today. So we're going to wish you guys a happy, rotten morning.
Yeah. Yeah, stay rotten, guys.
All right, stay rotten.
Hey guys, in this episode we made a reference to a number 2 potato. That's not a thing. It's an inside joke from an early version of the podcast, but I've recovered audio from that, and I'd like to play it for you now, just as a little extra special something.
I had to say potato and then sound all my vowels out like that.
That's how you speak?
Yeah.
That's how you speak Irish?
Yeah, that's like the base for everything.
That's the
it's the base for everything.
The base is potato.
Because you're like, okay, so you say your pa, so that's all your A's. Yeah. And potato, and that's your O's. So anything you say, you have to say with those vowels.
Okay, what if you have to say, like, you gotta take a piss?
Shut the fuck up.
Hey guys,
you're giving me the piss.
My bladder's full. I've gotta go take a shut the fuck up.
That's how we say it. Let's see what's the problem.
Okay, well, using your formula, how do you say pencil? Potato.
Yeah.
You're just the boss for everything. Sign your name down here with this potato.
If you're gonna do your homework, you gotta do it with a potato number 2. Number 2 potato.
I've taken a number 2 potato before.
Okay, alright.
And this has been Language Lessons with Matt.
us next time for another episode of Rotten Mornings.